Hi everyone, I'm back for another show, the Futuristic Trade and Economic Show. This show emphasizes on the latest activities, statistics, and situation and outlook of countries like America, UK, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand, Canada, and all the prominent markets across the globe. Today, we have selected a very interesting topic that is focused on Australia. And Australian economy is really going good. And emphasis will be on the monetary policy. Now, monetary policy we will discuss. As we all know, it's a policy for made by the central bank of the country, and this is mainly for control supply of money and issuing the currency notes. Central bank is the bank lender of last resort, and they do a lot of regulations and control the money supply of the market by buying and selling securities, tighten and loosen the uh, supply of money for the objectives to reach recession or to boost up an economy. Today, we will see how Australian monetary policy is going on and what is the role of the regulator and central bank in this. Before I will go for it, I want to wish everyone, because this is in Australia now, the 25th of December, which is a very important day. And it's Christmas. So I wish Merry Christmas to everyone. We are celebrating Christmas across the globe. It is the birthday of Jesus Christ. And we all, irrespective we are Christian, Muslims, or Jews, or we all are combined into inter harmony and tolerance and celebrating the festival with full spirit to increase the countryhood, unity, and tolerance between all the community. So wherever you are, happy Merry Christmas and enjoy your day with your family. Have nice get-togethers and meet your relatives, people, neighborhood. Spread the gifts here and there, love and care. That's what is the spirit of the day. So, with this, I will move towards my guest who is joining us live from Sydney, Imran Ashraf. He is a great economist and have a deep eye on the economic matters. Hi, Imran. How are you?
Good morning, Musa, and good morning to all the viewers and listeners, and also a very happy and Merry Christmas to all those viewers and listeners, those who are celebrating and those who are participating in this festive season.
That's amazing. I guess Australia will be very happy and having a Christmas day where people will be meeting. So, whom you are going to meet, how you are celebrating your Christmas in Australia for you being an active economist and the worker and a citizen, how you are spreading the love across the community.
Yes, Musa, that's very interesting because being by having a different faith doesn't mean that you won't be participating in any festival which is relating to the other faith peoples, and especially when you are living in a community and a society which is highly majoritized by the people, those who are celebrating Christmas in a very joyous way. So for us, being a part of the society, we also integrated into different sort of events, which is organized by different people, Christmas dinners, Christmas lunches, Christmas parties. I did had a big feast at my place last night. A few friends and family was together. Now I'm going to see some friends today, and this is how the Christmas holidays will get along, meeting different friends, getting to get-togethers in different lunch dinners, and gossip time, and it's a great harmony sort of things when you're going to see your different friends you haven't seen for a few months, or get together, sitting and exchange of thoughts and conversations, and checking with each other how they're going with their all things and health and overall mental health as well. So it's
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, we are doing the same in London, that we are celebrating our friends and we will meet them. We will have get together. We have food exchange, and a lot of love and care will be exchanged. And this is the beauty of the countries like us, that where we all belongs to different culture and religion. We are together all the time, and we are spreading the message to the whole world that humanity is the biggest religion, and we are together on peace and love everywhere. So, with this, I will request you to please enlighten us. What is a monetary policy? What is your central bank is doing? And what are the economic indicators for the monetary policy? So, I'll give the mic to you, please. Go
Thank
ahead.
you so much, Musa. Thank you so much. This topic is very interesting and very important topic, and I think it's a very hot topic these days when everybody is facing the pressure of inflation, high prices of products. Every household budget is under pressure, and everyone talk is about the interest rates. So it's very important to understand what are the factors behind all these activity. And apparently, monetary policy is the main economic tool which is behind this all cycle of interest rate or cash reserve rate. In saying, it is very important to understand in the beginning what is actually monetary policy, because people have different thoughts and different understandings. So monetary policy basically involves influencing the interest rate or cash rates to affect the aggregate demand, employment, and inflation in the economy. It is one of the main economic policies which central banks use to stabilize the business cycle. And especially when we talk about the Australian economy, Reserve Bank of Australia, which is also called RBA in its short form, sets target for the nation's official cash reserve rates or interest rate. And that is basically a very conventional tool by the RBA to control the monetary policy in Australia. A cash reserve rate tool will not only um, affects the general interest rate, but I would also like to add here that it will um, provide forward guidance and the provision of term funding to the banking system, a yield target, and quantity target for the purchase of the government bonds as well. Monetary policy has a very strong influence over the interest rates in the economy. Yes, it is, and it's a fact, including the lending as well as the deposit rate faced by the households and businesses. So basically, going further, there are a few objectives which the monetary policy in Australia, or we can say that the reserve banks have few objectives which they want to achieve through a stable monetary policy. The number one is the stability of the local currency in Australia, which is Australian dollar, and number two, the maintenance of the full employment or optimum employment level in Australian economy. And then number third is the economic prosperity and the welfare of the people of Australia or the society. And this is also very clearly evident in the Reserve Bank Act, which was established in 1959, that the Reserve Bank will conduct the monetary policy in which the government also agreed that the framework of the monetary policy is the total responsibility of the Reserve Bank. Now, the objective of the monetary policy, like I have said, The very important and basic objective of the monetary policy is the stability of the currency. So when we say we think where is the inflation comes from in this one, the important thing needs to understand here, and this is what the common people needs to understand, that when there is a high inflation, prices are going up, it might be very easy for the Reserve Bank to print more dollars and put some extra dollar into the people's pocket, but that's not the way the value of the currency work. The objective of the Reserve Bank is to maintain the inflation within the targeted range, and which is in Australia, the RBA has said between 2 to 3%, so that the currency will not lose its value over the period of time. Its value will remain stable. It will have more strength in terms of the purchasing power. When we talk about the full employment, this is also the second objective of the Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, to have a full employment level in the economy. We might see whenever there is a full employment, we talk about, people still says, and this is again a common question in people's mind. Some people still don't have a job in which they have a qualification, or they are not having a specialized job in the degree of qualification. So there is always going to be a mismatch, and this is what we call an underemployment. So basically, Reserve Bank always try its best to have a full employment, given the fact, or with the exception, there is going to be a little bit underemployment, always the case, because people might move between jobs to job, or people might not get the job in the field in which they are really specialized, and people might not get the set um, uh, or target numbers of hours in the field. And the third important objective of the Reserve Bank of Australia, while conducting the monetary policy, is the economic prosperity and welfare of the society. Once again, Reserve Bank will make sure that aggregate demand and aggregate supply of productivity in the economy will be in that level, that it primarily want to achieve a stable macroeconomic environment. But it also means that the Reserve Bank will also consider the factors of financial stability, and all these factors when setting the monetary policy or the cash reserve rate. Now, in Australia, Musa, it is very important to understand that Reserve Bank always use inflation as a framework or guideline in managing the interest rate or cash reserve rate decision. Reserve Bank wants to have the inflation guideline between 2 to 3%. It does not mean that it has to be between 2 to 3% all the time. It could be below 2% for a period of time, or it could be more than 3% for the period of time. But the main objective of the Reserve Bank is to have the inflation between the benchmark of 2% to 3% over the long period of time, so that it can continue or it can target those areas where they can actually run the business cycle smoothly. Economic growth, tends to fluctuate around the long-term trend, and when economies starting to grow slowly, we have witnessed that a Reserve Bank has a loosening monetary policy where they have reduced or lower interest rate. They encourage the businesses to have the accessibility of the money on cheaper rates. So when the economy is going too fast or too hot, then the Reserve Bank will move toward the tightening of the monetary policy by increasing the interest rate, so that they can control the aggregate demand in the economy. So the whole idea of the Reserve Bank to do so is to make the whole business cycle in smoothly, because what could be the adverse effect in that sort of situation? The cheaper and easy availability of funding and accessibility to the liquidity will create extra heat in the economy and extra strength in the economy, which will lead towards the higher inflation and higher inflation could lead towards the higher unemployment, and the higher unemployment and a combination of higher inflation will lead towards the recession. And long term keeping the long term objectives in mind, it is the duty and responsibility of the RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia, to see the people's or society economic welfare. So I would say that is one of the reason Reserve Bank will act on the cash reserve rate more promptly, so that it will save the society from a greater debacle in terms of recession or some financial instability, rather than a temporary high interest rate or cash reserve rates. Now, moving further, when we see that the cash rate or interest rate going up, because Reserve Bank now at this current environment is also seeing that the inflation is sitting somewhere around 7% in Australia, or 7.1% according to the last month index. It is one of the highest interest rate which we have seen in decades, and the cash reserve rate of Australia is sitting around 3.1%. The high cash reserve rate is actually a great burden on the household budgets and the management of the household budgets and the small and medium enterprises, SMEs in the economy. It is definitely having a great impact onto the everyday life. In this sort of scenario, Reserve Bank actually addresses the short-run trade-off that may occur between economic growth and employment and inflation. For example, they may be, and even when there is inflation is too high, and at the same time the economic growth is too low and unemployment is too high. In these cases, Reserve Bank carefully consider the trade-off between the smoothing business cycle in the short run and achieving the inflation target. And in the vice versa situation, when inflation is too high, tightening monetary policy, raising the cash interest rates will help to, the Reserve Bank to bring the inflation level back within the targeted band, which I have explained earlier is set between 2 to 3%. And it will also likely to reduce the economic growth at the same time, because the aggregate demand will goes down, and it will put upward pressure on unemployment. But a trade-off objectives could also occur in easing the monetary policy, and that will lead to the broader responsibilities of what you can say more financial stability in the whole financial environment or in the whole society. The Reserve Bank is also responsible at the same time for the economic welfare of the people and economic welfare of the society. And having saying that, um, bringing the inflation within its targeted band range of 2 to 3% will not only make sure that prices of the commodities in the market is not within their not increasing excessively, but it also makes sure that the real income of the people is also um, going to be maintained. In that scenario, I probably would say that there is always a relationship between the government and the Reserve Bank, which goes in a very good way, that when bank is increasing the cash interest rate so that it can control the aggregate demand in the economy and aggregate supply factor, reduce the heat from the economy. At the same time, government should not do those efforts or should not take any of those steps which will create extra heat in the economy in terms of giving incentives to the people or to the small businesses in terms of the tax breaks and offsetting the high prices of the commodities and offsetting the household budget by giving the giving the economic grants. So I think working of the Reserve Bank in Australia is very independent, and it is a very independent sort of working. But at the same time, the government has its part and responsibilities to maintain that balance between the implementation of the monetary policy and Reserve Bank activities. Now, we look toward the transparency of the monetary policy in Australia. At the same time, what we have seen that Reserve Bank is responsible for the cash reserve rate, and at the same time, Reserve Bank is totally accountable for the cash reserve hikes in the cash reserve rate. It is not put in this way. We cannot say that the Reserve Bank have seen the inflation is high, so they start increasing the interest rate humongously without any consent. There is a proper mechanism in the Reserve Bank of Australia. There is a whole body of board members of the Reserve Bank of Australia who they meet on the every on the first Tuesday of the month, and they will conduct a complete process based on the guideline of the Reserve Bank economists, those who continue their work whole month and gathers different data and reports from the market about the inflation, about the consumer price index, about the business confidence, about the business cycle, and then they will present their recommendations to the board meeting. Now, the board, the Reserve Bank board comprises of 9 members in Australia. The governor and deputy governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia is appointed by the government, and the total of 5 members is the government employees, and rest is from the public sector. Uh, in making any decisions in the board meeting, Reserve Bank basically required the majority vote. The whole board meeting will be guided by the presentation of the economists and analysts, those who are sitting behind the doors and doing their work on every monthly basis. And then they will present their report to the Reserve Bank board members. And then they will conduct a meeting and decide whether to increase the cash reserve rate or not. As you know, that Musha, cash reserve rate is actually the lending rate, overnight lending rate between the banks. So, if the Reserve Bank think that the board members think that all the indicators reflecting that inflation is too high, economy is getting too hot, they will tighten the monetary policy by increasing the cash reserve rate, and they will make sure the implementation of their decision of the cash reserve rate will be gone through to the bottom root level for all, and how they will make sure that all the financial institution will increase um, or implement their decisions of the cash reserve rate, so that the basic fundamental of the accessibility of the liquidity in the economy will be maintained through the decisions of the cash reserve rate. Otherwise, if the implementation of their cash reserve rate or monetary policy decision is not done in a proper way, then the whole idea of tightening or controlling the monetary policy under the banner of Reserve Bank will not be effective. So that's a very other important part on the second side, that firstly, the decision has been made. The implementation part is very important. Now, the monetary policy, as we have, I have discussed and explained to you, basically the decision of the monetary policy is depending upon the current economic and financial conditions, which is checked on monthly basis. Then outlook for the economy, the reports on that segment will come on quarterly basis, and then financial stability. The Reserve Bank normally gather a half yearly reports on those one. Then the policy recommendation will come, and like I have explained, these policy recommendations being prepared and presented by the panel of economists, to those who are continuously working behind the scene in Reserve Bank and present it in the board meeting. Then board will conduct its meeting on every Tuesday of the month, and then they will announce through public communication on that particular Tuesday by 2:30 p.m. that this is what they're decision, whether they continuing the stable cash reserve rate or they are increasing or hiking the cash reserve rate. As we have seen or witnessed in the last 6-7 months, Reserve Bank has continuously increased the cash reserve rate, and it started the cash reserve rate from 0.1%, which is 10 basis point. Now it is 3.1%, which is 310 basis point. So, Reserve Bank has witnessed through the policy guidelines of the panel of economists, inflation is very high. Accessibility of the liquidity in the economy is too frequent, and then they have taken this conducive measures to reduce the inflation and bring the inflation within its targeted band between 2 to 3%. So I think the whole mechanism is tied with each other, and they are working in the same direction. In the end of the day, the objective of the Reserve Bank to bring the inflation between the set targeted band and save the economy from the recession or any other financial instability or any other financial crackdown. Yes, Musa.
Amazing insight. I can see that you have summarized so many things beautifully, and the listeners for us might be very enlightened today for the monetary policy. And what I understood is that the central bank is really, really doing good job. And if I compare with the UK, like the UK central bank is also doing a great job, and we have a forecast that the inflation is expected to come down in next quarter by 2%.
That
And then it will match the interest increase and the inflationary effects we have. And of course, we cannot ignore that the prices for energy, which is high right now, is going to settle down very soon. And this is how the cost of living is also going to be a little bit better than what we saw in few days. This I'm telling about UK, and of course I'm sure that the Australians are also working on giving a relief to the general citizen. We already received a rebate back in the gas bill, and it's the first certain percentage has been credited back to the all the account holders, energy holders. So government of UK is really doing a great job, and I'm sure the government of Australia is also taking care. These are good nations, good people, and taking care of the public at large. So with this, I want to thank you for joining us today, and I'm looking forward to see you with the very interesting topic on Australia on in our next episode. Till then, take care and have a lovely Christmas ahead.
Thank you, Musa.